Okay, so let's talk about this. We're going to break down a pretty wild financial ride, how I managed to go from being totally buried in debt to having a six-figure savings account by the time I turned 22. But, the story of how I got there, it isn't some secret investment trick. It actually kicks off with a massive, massive mistake. So yep, there's the number. By age 22, I had saved over $100,000 in cash. Now, my total net worth, all my assets like investments minus my debts, was actually way higher. But this was the liquid cash just sitting there. And the reason I remember that exact number so well, I spent all of it in one go. But we'll get to that part. So you're probably thinking, okay, what's the secret? Well, this story doesn't start with some brilliant savings plan or a lucky break. It starts with a huge screw up. The journey to saving 100 grand actually began with me getting into what felt like, literally crippling debt. So picture this. I'm 18, and a friend convinces me to take out a credit card, which, by the way, I had zero understanding of, and max it out to buy this used car. The plan? We'd fix it up, sell it for a profit. Seemed like a no-brainer, right? Wrong. A few days later, poof, the engine just completely blew up. So there I was, stuck with a busted car and this monster credit card bill that just kept getting bigger and bigger. Man, that was my absolute rock bottom. I just felt completely trapped by this one stupid, impulsive decision. But as I was sitting there on that couch, I made a promise to myself. This mistake was not going to define my life. And you know what? That decision, right there, it changed everything. So what was the very first step in this turnaround? It wasn't about trying to earn more money or finding some magic investment. It was actually way simpler, but also a lot harder. It was about taking a really honest look at where my money was actually going. It was time to plug the leaks. I literally started treating my bank account like a sinking ship, and my job was to find every single leak, no matter how small. I tracked every single penny. Now, today, apps like Mint or Yolt make this way easier, and you would be shocked at what you find. For me, the biggest leaks were subscriptions, these tiny automatic payments that just act like leeches on your account for things you totally forgot you were even paying for. So once I knew where my money was going, I set a super clear vision. I wanted to be completely debt-free in 1 year. That's it. But a huge goal like that can be paralyzing, So the key was to work backward. I broke it down into how much I needed to save every month, then every week, and then even every single day. These little daily process targets, they felt achievable, and they kept me going. All right, so I had a plan, but now I needed a system to stop myself from slipping back into old habits. So I came up with 3 super simple rules, printed them out on a piece of paper, and stuck it right on my bathroom mirror. I had to look at it every single day. This was my accountability framework. Okay, rule number 1, pay yourself first. This is a game changer. My savings goal got paid before anything else. No excuses. Rule 2, the 24-hour rule. For any non-essential purchase, I forced myself to wait 1 day, just 24 hours. This simple delay is an absolute killer for impulse buys, and it helps you separate what you want from what you actually need. And rule 3, avoid lifestyle inflation. As my income started to go up, I made a conscious choice to keep my expenses exactly the same. This is how you avoid that trap, where earning more just somehow means spending more. And this right here is the perfect example of the 24-hour rule in action. It's that battle between your impulse brain and your rational brain. I almost bought a jet ski once, seriously. I tried a friend's and my impulse brain was just screaming, "You gotta have this, buy it now." But I forced myself to wait. A few weeks went by, I borrowed my friends a couple more times, and the novelty just wore off. That simple rule saved me thousands of dollars on something I definitely would have regretted. And this just brilliantly illustrates the next priority. I had to get that high-interest debt gone. Think about it. A savings account might get you, a 2% return? But my credit card was hammering me with 20% interest. Paying off that debt was like getting a guaranteed 20% return on my money. Where else are you going to find an investment like that? It's one of the best financial moves you can ever make. Okay, so paying off that debt meant I had to get really serious about cutting costs. But let's be clear, being frugal is not about being cheap. It's not about never having fun, it's about being strategic. It's about finding smart ways to cut your spending without just sacrificing your entire quality of life. These were some of my biggest wins. I started cooking big meals at home that would last me for days. I became militant about turning off lights and heat to get my bills down. And I started doing what I call car hacking. I'd buy a reliable used car that had already lost most of its value, drive it for a year, and then sell it for pretty much what I paid for it. My transportation was basically free besides the gas. And this is a perfect example of ignoring branding. Seriously, next time you're in a store, look at the paracetamol or any kind of cold medicine. Check the PL number on the back of the box for the expensive name brand, and then look at the cheap store brand. A lot of the time, they have the exact same number, which means they were made in the exact same factory. The only difference is the fancy box and, in this case, a $3 price tag. You're paying for marketing, not a better product. So all these frugal habits were absolutely crucial. They helped me get out of debt. They help me build a solid foundation. But you can only cut so much, right? To really build wealth, I had to switch from playing defense with my money to playing offense. And this really gets to the heart of it. You need to be good at both. I mean, we've all heard those crazy stories of famous athletes who earn millions and millions, but then go broke. Why? Because they're amazing at earning, but they're terrible at saving. Their lifestyle inflation is just out of control. To build real, lasting wealth, you have to master both sides of that coin. So I started side hustles. I was flipping cars, I was teaching people how to fly radio-controlled models, you name it. But here's the absolute key. Instead of using that extra cash for fun stuff, I saved 100% of it. That money wasn't for my current lifestyle. It was fuel. It was the fuel I needed to build more income streams and eventually escape that 9-to-5 grind. And this led me to the next major light bulb moment. Not all debt is bad. It sounds crazy, I know, but if you use it the right way, debt can actually be one of the most powerful tools there is for building wealth. So with about 15 grand saved up, I bought my first little apartment. At first, I lived in it, but I realized pretty quickly it was a liability. It was taking money out of my pocket every single month. So I flipped the script. I moved in with my girlfriend, and I rented out the apartment. All of a sudden, my tenant was paying the mortgage for me, and I had extra cash flow every month. I had turned a liability into an asset. And this is what we call good debt. It's debt that you take on to buy an asset that's going to make you money. I used this exact same principle again when I got a business loan to start my shop. Yeah, it was scary going back into debt, but this time it was strategic. It was an investment in myself that I knew would put more money back into my pocket in the long run. And that's pretty much how it all came together. The aggressive saving paid off all the bad debt. The side hustles created that initial pot of investment capital. And then using good debt allowed me to buy assets that literally multiplied my money. It was the combination of all these strategies that made my bank account grow so quickly and hit that six-figure mark. So let's go back to the beginning. What did I do with that $100,000? Did I buy a flashy car? Go on a massive vacation? Nope. I used every single penny of it for a 50% deposit on my next piece of real estate, my childhood home. It was a real full circle moment, turning all that hard work into a truly meaningful asset. And that is the real takeaway from this entire journey. The number in the bank account was never the point. Money is simply a tool. Having it gives you options. It gives you the power and the freedom to build the life you actually want to live on your own terms. Getting your savings in order is the foundation. It's step one. But the real question, the one I want to leave you with, is what comes next? Once you have that tool, what are you going to build with it?